Honorable members, at the suspension, we were debating the automatic exchange of financial accounts information amendment bill. I presume we are now ready. Asmini? The chair recognizes the honorable member for Long Island.
Madam Speaker, I am pleased to yet again have an opportunity to rise in this place on behalf of the wonderful people of Long Island to speak to their interests and concerns, and today to the proposed amendments to the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Act, encapsulated in the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill 2025. Madam Speaker, before I do that though, I'd like to extend condolences to a number of families as well as congratulations. I want to begin with my constituency by extending condolences to the family of Miss Anne Marie Mills. I believe she lived in Abaco, but she's from Long Island. To her brother Jason Cartwright, who was one of my key generals on the ground in 2017, and who I continue to have a good relationship with. To Mr. Macon Cartwright, who was my principal all the way back in high school, her brother. Of course, also to the family of Miss Christine Adderley of Burn Ground, her son Andrew and Hemi, and the whole family. To the family of Captain Lauren Knowles, well-known boat builder, well-known sailor, a Long Island legend. Captain Knowles of Mangrove Bush, to his children, all of them, Ian, Steph, Dawn, David, Crystal, Mark. I hope I haven't left anyone out, but forgive me if I did. To the entire family, I extend my condolences as well. And of course, to the family of Mr. Maxwell Trico, who we all knew as Valentine from Hamilton's Long Island. I'm going to miss him at my events. Every event I had, I saw him and his sister. He was an avid supporter. And so I extend condolences to that family. Madam Speaker, I also want to extend condolences to a few families that are outside of Long Island, one of whom is in Eleuthera. To the family of Miss Marjorie DeVoe. I always knew her as Aunt Margie. She was a wonderful lady, always one way. I mean, she has left such wonderful memories with me. South Eleuthera, Marjorie DeVoe, to Miss Gloria Pinder, her sister, to her son Jermaine and all of her children, to the entire family, I extend my deepest condolences. Madam Speaker, I also want to extend congratulations to a few youngsters out of my constituency, and I just want to pull them up. Got a note this morning with all of their names and what they were able to get at the recent National High School Track and Field Championships. And so I want to extend congratulations to Mr. Justice Adderley, who participated in the under-13 division, a student of NGM major. He got a gold in 100 meters, a gold in the 200 meters, and a gold in the long jump. So congratulations to Justice, congratulations to his dad, Johnny. I know Johnny well, his uncle, Jermaine, who we affectionately call Turkey, and to the entire family. And I also want to extend congratulations to NGM Major. Also to two students from the North Long Island High School, that is Khalil Nixon, who participated in the under-17 events. He got a silver medal in the javelin. So congratulations, Khalil. And to Mr. Julian Roll, who participated in the under-20 event in the Arcathlon. I think he got a silver medal. So congratulations to those two gentlemen, as well as to the North Long Island High School. You're doing big things, Madam Speaker, coming to town and going back home with gold and silver against the big boys. Madam Speaker, I'm I'm going to be brief as it relates to this bill. We on this side of the aisle understand the significance of this legislation in the global financial regulatory landscape, and I know that we support the intent of the bill. This bill seeks to amend the Principal Act to enhance our compliance and international standards on tax transparency and information exchange. Madam Speaker, we recognize the importance of this amendment in ensuring that the Bahamas remains aligned with the common reporting standards and fulfills its obligations to the OECD's Global Forum. These proposed changes are essential for maintaining our nation's reputation as a responsible financial center committed to combating tax evasion and promoting global financial integrity. I understand that. You know, one of the things, though, Madam Speaker, though these amendments introduce modifications to certain definitions and operational scopes within the Act, it is imperative that these changes are articulated with the utmost clarity to prevent any ambiguity, and that could lead to inconsistent interpretations or unintended compliance challenges for our financial institutions. And as we enhance our mechanisms for information exchange, we must concurrently bolster our data protection protocols. The amendments, we should look to address measures to safeguard sensitive financial information against unauthorized access or potential misuse, thereby upholding the privacy, or the privacy, as we say here, rights of our citizens and residents. Then, of course, Madam Speaker, the success of legislative changes such as this hinges on effective implementation. I urge the relevant authorities to allocate adequate resources for the training, technology upgrades, and continuous monitoring to ensure that the amended provisions translate into tangible improvements in our information exchange processes. So, Madam Speaker, I'd say the proposed amendments signify a positive step towards reinforcing our commitment to international tax cooperation. Madam Speaker, whilst we're doing all of this, though, let us enact legislation not only to satisfy international observers, but to protect our financial system and the interests of all Bahamians. Given that, Madam Speaker, I want to discuss, since we're discussing financial services legislation, this is the perfect time to discuss financial services in this country. Madam Speaker, when we speak of banking reform, what has this government truly done beyond issuing press releases and forming committees? In Long Island and across the Family Islands, we are still waiting in line, waiting for a branch that won't open, waiting for banking services that are being taken for granted elsewhere. We're waiting for the BOB, the Bank of the Bahamas. We continue to wait. The banking deserts in the Bahamas are expanding. There's Long Island and there's other islands. We are witnessing a silent economic strangulation of the Family Islands. In Long Island, there's no physical bank branch open for the people, only an ATM when it works. And this is a national disgrace. People in Long Island have to travel for hours, sometimes by boat or plane, just to make simple deposits, whether it's cash or a check, or to access a loan officer. Madam Speaker, that is unacceptable. While the government boasts about financial inclusion, the people in the Family Islands are effectively financially excluded. The reform we need are not cosmetic. We need comprehensive reform. We need legislation, we need incentives, and we need a digital push that actually works, not a headline in the papers followed by radio silence. The government, we believe, has failed the Bahamian public as it relates to banking reform, and no amount of spin will fix that. Madam Speaker, as it relates to the Bahamian economy, I don't think anyone can fairly claim that the Bahamian economy is booming. We're bending under pressure. The government, there's quite a number of people who are barely surviving. We are saddled with high debt. High debt. We're saddled with an overburdened, shrinking, and overtaxed middle class. We have a cost of living crisis that this administration treats with shocking indifference. Long Island, Madam Speaker, like many of our family islands, continues to be ignored in the National Economic Plan, if one exists at all. Where are the targeted investments for family islands per island? What about the infrastructure stimulus? Where's the infrastructure stimulus? Where is the economic strategy for the family islands? And we could individualize the strategy by island. It is time we stop sugarcoating failure and start calling it what it is: neglect. The economy cannot work for Nassau, or cannot just work for Nassau or Paradise Island. It must work for Thames, for Deadman's Key, for Clarence Town, for Roses, for Bunches, for Gordons, and for Seymour's. In fact, it must work for all Bahamians throughout this island chain. And this government has shown time and time again that it is unwilling or incapable of delivering inclusive economic growth. Madam Speaker, I want to talk about the ease of doing business in this country. You know, the phrase ease of doing business has become almost a joke, a cruel joke at that. Entrepreneurs from the northern to the southern Bahamas are suffocated by red tape, smothered by bureaucracy, and battered by delays. Permits take forever. Business license systems collapse online. We've heard about the crashing of the online, the website, and so on. And simple processes are made to feel like national exams. Simple processes. In Long Island, trying to start a business is like running on an obstacle course blindfolded. No reliable banking, no one-stop shop presence, no meaningful government support. And yet this administration has the audacity to claim progress. The government has turned entrepreneurship into an exercise of an abundance of patience. The only thing easy about doing business in the Bahamas, Madam Speaker, at this moment, right now, is giving up out of frustration. It's easy to give up out of frustration. And there are many in our constituencies who tell us they're so frustrated with the red tape and the obstacles that they simply give up. That's what's easy. Madam Speaker, small businesses are the backbone of any economy. But under this administration, many small businesses believe and feel that they've been treated as an afterthought. Many small business owners have come and complained and made these complaints. The Small Business Development Center, while noble in idea, is not effectively reaching the family islands. The grants are too slow, the communication poor, and the support almost non-existent for too many. In Long Island, while fishing, farming, and local retail drive the economy, this is how our communities survive, entrepreneurs are being left behind. The senior advisor on Long Island, as relates to the Small Business Development Center, is doing her best. But, Madam Speaker, they need greater mentorship. Entrepreneurs on these islands. We need access to capital and meaningful training, not more Zoom seminars from Nassau bureaucrats who never set foot past Exuma. There's a need for more face-to-face interaction, meeting people where they are in their communities, as opposed to expecting fishermen and others who've been out all day, coming home at night after a long day on the sea or a long day in the farm, etc., to then jump on a Zoom call. Not to mention the poor internet service on these islands. Particularly, I can speak to Long Island, the service is in need of much upgrade, both BTC and Alive. Madam Speaker, access and how this is done in Family Island communities as it relates to small businesses and even the Small Business Center and these grants must be revisited. The greatest complaint is that the process to getting the funding is too much red tape. The government has turned the dream of entrepreneurship into a maze of paperwork and broken promises. If small businesses fail, Madam Speaker, the economy fails. And this government, many small business owners tell me, this government is pushing them to the edge. Madam Speaker, I also want to, as I conclude, tell my people in Long Island that we are having a number of events, upcoming events, but we are also doing a few things on the ground as it relates to construction. One is I've hired Mr. Pedro Cartwright to build picnic tables and benches for various beaches from one end to the next on the island. And he's going to be putting these picnic tables and benches so persons could go there, relax, sit down, have family time, etc. We know that the beaches don't have them, so Mr. Cartwright is going to be constructing or building these picnic tables for beaches throughout the island. Madam Speaker, on that note, I thank you, and I rest.
Thank you, Honourable Member Asmini. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Marco City.
Yes, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I just wanted to rise just on a point of order, Madam Speaker, with respect to the statement made by the member for as you would see carried in the newspaper a short time thereafter, the member for Elizabeth contended that the land deal that she attributed its ending badly for the government to the Free National Movement. Madam Speaker, I just want to put on the record that the member knowingly and intentionally misled the Parliament on that fact, aided by her colleague. That land deal ended officially on December 31st, 2021, during the Progressive Liberal Party's time in office, and the Progressive Liberal Party might wish to explain to the public. I will not say anything at this point, but I'll wait to hear what they have to say. That deal was live and open, but ended officially on December 31st, 2021. Again, the clear impression the minister sought to provide is that the deal was inappropriately executed and failed during the time of the Free National Movement. And I'm saying that that is the clear impression that the minister gave. They could defend. I could wait. I could sit down and wait to hear what the details are before I speak again. I am only saying that that particular deal was wide open, available for the government to do whatever it determined it wished to do on the 31st of December 2021. It did not fail because the Free National Movement did not execute as per the agreement. That's the point I wish to leave on the record. They can clarify. Whatever.
Does anybody know what she said? I wasn't in the chair. Okay. Thank you, Honourable Member Asmini. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise and give thanks to Almighty God for allowing me to be here today to contribute to this debate, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, we continue to debate at a time when the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas are continuously frustrated with this government on so many issues, Madam Speaker. Thank you. On so many issues, Madam Speaker. The traveling, Madam Speaker. The level of crime in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Madam Speaker. The lack of transparency, Madam Speaker. Well, Madam Speaker, the government might not want to hear it, Madam Speaker, but we continue to say that they have and they promote a version of the Bahamas in their minds that does not exist for the people of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And Madam Speaker, before I get into the bill, just a couple of issues, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, the couple of very important issues, Madam Speaker. Apologies. Madam Speaker, the leader of the opposition, member for Marco City, has raised this issue, and we in turn collectively continue to raise this issue about our national security concerns as it relates to the Parliamentary Registration Department, Madam Speaker. And on one issue in particular, but also we have a concern relative to the ousting of the Parliamentary Commissioner, Madam Speaker, that the Bahamian people can't seem to get a clear or concise answer on. Clearly, Madam Speaker, the Bahamian people wants to know what's going on with their Parliamentary Registration Department, Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
If they want to ask questions, they can ask questions. The questions are not supposed to be predicated on a fact not proven. I know they read the papers, so I know they read that the Parliamentary Commissioner first asked for vacation and that he then wrote to OPM to request a transfer. And at the end of the day, that's just very clear. Now, if they wish to suggest something else, I'd invite them to suggest it plainly outside the House of Assembly, where if they are men, there'll be consequences.
Thank you, honourable member.
Well, Madam Speaker, let me say this for the record.
It's already been uttered outside.
Let me say this for the record.
You be the man now.
Madam Speaker, my masculinity is definitely not determined by the member for Freetown. I'll tell him that. But Madam Speaker, it is a legitimate concern, especially how we and the government has showed, if you will, Madam Speaker, showed some leg, if you will, on the issue of an impending election, whether it's this year or next year, Madam Speaker. And so it is a legitimate concern, and that runs parallel, Madam Speaker, that runs parallel with this issue of this vendor, or what we understand to be a foreign company, Madam Speaker, that is intricately and intimately involved with activities of the Parliamentary Registration Department, Madam Speaker, and Bahamians are concerned. We understand, Madam Speaker, and maybe the member for Freetown can speak to it, that the company, Canadian Banknote, Madam Speaker, Canadian Banknote, while they're involved in providing other services for the government, they're also involved with the registry, with the registration apparatus, the parliamentary registration apparatus. The good member for Bain and Grantstown, who I've known a long time. The member for Garden Hills coached me in Night League. I didn't get to play for the honorable member, but one thing I know about the honorable member, that he chooses his words. The member for Bain and Grantstown chooses his words very, very carefully. And in here, he talked about how that there was a vendor that was being engaged to deal with this issue and update the system. Now, in fairness to the member did not indicate the name of the vendor, and I'm not suggesting that he did. But he did talk about the vendor. And so we're asking the government to come clean about the involvement, or possible involvement, of a foreign company in electoral concerns in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, that a foreign company may be involved with something that serves as the bedrock of democracy in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. They are deeply concerned. So I would sit and have the member for Freetown address it. Who's responsible for? I'll sit. I just said what the concern is. Okay, no problem, no problem.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Bain and Grantstown.
Speaker, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I'm not certain the path in which the member for St. Barnabas is trying to take. But certainly I don't want him to engage me in some kind of support for his contribution. In my contribution in the mid-year budget, I indicated that we, as a part of this administration, is seeking to make improvements to the parliamentary registration system. I didn't call any vendor's name, but I just don't want him to try and pull me into some advocacy, of which he is presenting today, because there's clearly no support in that regard. What we're doing in the Ministry of Economic Affairs with respect to digitalization is all in the best interest of the Bahamian people, Madam Speaker. And I haven't been made aware of any malfeasance or any disruption in the Parliamentary Registration Department. The Canadian banknotes is not new to the Bahamas, Madam Speaker. They have been producing bills for this country for many, many, many years. They are also responsible for the e-passport system that we have in government. So, Madam Speaker, this company is a very, very reputable company. It's a Canadian company, and if you're aware of the ratings as it relates to transparency and accountability, Canada is one of those countries from an e-government perspective that is rated high on in Accenture. So there's no malfeasance, there's nothing untoward with respect to what is happening as it relates to digitalization in government and the Canadian banknotes. And I just don't want the member to try and pull me into something, because I'm not supporting what he's trying to pull me into. I just want to make that clear.
Thank you, honorable.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I've expressed the concern, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I wasn't attempting to draw my good friend and brother from Bain and Grantstown into anything. I've said that there are legitimate concerns that the government, even up to the minute or up to the second, has failed to address in terms of the involvement of this company, Canadian Banknote, in the process down at the Parliamentary Registration Department. The honourable member for Bain and Grantstown just said, as I alluded to, that they are involved with other services to the government in terms of producing currency and other things. So the question is, can somebody in the government confirm if this Canadian company, if Canadian Banknote, is involved with the Parliamentary Registration Department of the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, specifically this new system that the honourable member, and I will read, Madam Speaker, because I don't want to misquote the member, in his debate, as indicated in the previous debate last year, this administration is seeking to replace the parliamentary registration system with a more modern solution and has engaged a vendor to facilitate the implementation. So we are asking, who is that vendor? And if that vendor is, as we are made to understand, is the Canadian banknote company, then the government should say, because there are some concerns that the government may be able to address. We haven't said, well, can you answer if the Canadian banknote company is involved? Development, he continues, the good member continues, development has commenced and an official launch date will be announced by the Parliamentary Registration Department. This project is in keeping with the government's blueprint for change, as the current voter registration technology and software are old, archaic, and may pose some security challenges and concerns in the future. Mr. Deputy, he said 2025. Mr. Deputy, in 2025, we are probably one of the only countries in the region still using paper-based voter registration card that has no digital functionality behind it. Elections are within months, and it is proposed that the new voter registration system will be completed in time for the next general election. In 2027, I don't think the member meant 2027, but I will read it as it is. Okay, in 2027, this project was on the table. Well, unless he came back in time, I don't know. In 2027, this project was on the table, but it was shelved by the former administration and nothing was done. But this brave, Davis-led administration is taking action and getting it done. So, Madam Speaker, I have been on this issue, and I'm going to move from it. I've been on this issue now for 9 minutes. And in the 9 minutes, two members have stood up, the member for Freetown, the member for Bain and Grantstown, but in particular the member for Freetown, who's responsible for this aspect of government.
Contradicted the man from
But has no one has gotten up and said that this company is not involved. They've talked about the other services. Nobody wants to say who the company is or confirm and to say what is their involvement, Madam Speaker. And it's a serious concern, Madam Speaker, when you talk about potentially, a foreign company involved again in such a fundamental process for the Bahamian people, a fundamental democratic process in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. And so,
National Security denied.
that the Minister of National Security, yes, denied, Madam Speaker, denied that such a company was involved, Madam Speaker. Yes, Madam Speaker. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
Yes, you did.
Yes, you did. I'm going to read for you, Honourable Member. Monroe rejects opposition election concerns. Minister of National Security, the Honourable Wayne Monroe, refuted claims that a Canadian company has been retained by the government to manage aspects of the election process in the Bahamas. Monroe told reporters outside of the House of Assembly on Wednesday, a Canadian company does our passport, a Canadian company does the $50 note and the $100 note for the central bank. No Canadian company is managing any election in the Bahamas. Now, Madam Speaker, I do agree. If there's any honourable member in here who will know what to do with words, is the member for Freetown, the Honourable KC. So he said that no Canadian company is managing any election in the Bahamas, Madam Speaker. That's a very, very important couple of words, not managing any election in the Bahamas. So, is this company dealing with the Parliamentary Registration Department, Madam Speaker?
Madam Speaker, Marco City is a man of words, and what he said to the press is that a company was managing, and I simply used his words. And St. Barnabas will learn that I will not be drawn. Marco City used somebody was managing, and my answer was that no foreign or local company is managing. And I stand by that.
Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker. The member for Bain and Grantstown confirmed that there's a vendor.
Yes.
The member for Freetown denied that there's a vendor.
Yes.
So there seems to be a conflict, Madam Speaker. And if I had to believe someone, Madam Speaker, I say this respectfully, I can believe the member for being in Grandstand, because like I say, he don't just mess with words like that, Madam Speaker. So, Madam Speaker, still 12 minutes in, as I'm about to move, Madam Speaker, we still have not heard from the government the role of this vendor and this Canadian banknote, from what we understand, their involvement in the democratic process in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, and we should be concerned, not concerned necessarily, Madam Speaker, about the reputation of a company, but be concerned that the government has not been fully transparent about whether or not a foreign company is going to be involved in the process, Madam Speaker. You want me to sit down, Freetown?
The chair recognizes the honourable member.
If Marco City and St. Barnabas doesn't realize that they have left in charge of security of the parliamentary registration of two foreign companies, that's their record. So that's why, Madam Speaker, we wait here about concerns and not what people think.
Thank you.
Why did you deny?
Madam Speaker, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And again, we will continue to ask the government for clarity on this issue, Madam Speaker, at every opportunity. What is going on? What is happening? As I will say again, chronologically, the parliamentary commissioner is there no more. I understand. He talks about a process, a transition process, a human resource process. But we all know better, Madam Speaker. And whilst some of us in the Bahamas were born in the night, most of the people in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, they wasn't born last night. So you can't fool the people, Madam Speaker. They are very concerned about what's going on, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also, Madam Speaker, the police reserve, Madam Speaker. Police reserve, Madam Speaker. And I thank you, Madam Speaker, for your indulgence, Madam Speaker. The police reserve, Madam Speaker, are saying, Madam Speaker, they have yet to be paid. They have yet to be paid, Madam Speaker. And so I would have hoped that earlier in this debate, when the member for Freetown would have had the opportunity to contribute, but all he got up, he just stood up and said nothing. That would have been an opportunity to let the police reserve know why they're not being paid. But again, the member has chosen not to. Pay the people, man. Pay the people. Pay them. Pay the people. Pay them. $58 million. Pay the people. Pay them. Pay the people, man.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Freetown.
Lets the Commissioner of Police know, the Bahamian people know, that the FNM government will continue to interfere with the police. The Commissioner of Police pays the police. My predecessor was judicially condemned. Marco City has demonstrated, and now St. Barnabas has demonstrated. They don't believe in an independent Commissioner of Police. They don't believe in an independent police force.
Thank you, honourable member.
Madam Speaker, I hear the honourable member, but there have been a number of issues relating to the police, Madam Speaker, where there were concerns, and the honourable member offered his opinion, right? But that's inconsistent with what he's done on a number of issues. But we will save that for another day, Madam Speaker, because I'm not going to be distracted, Madam Speaker.
4 double promotions, including one for number 1. And one
Madam
for the person
Speaker,
at the airport who's
Madam
not
Speaker,
double
also,
promotion.
Madam Speaker, the
Double promotion.
the member during the last debate, Madam Speaker, and this is just clearing this up, Madam Speaker, talked about, when we talked about the concerns about fire trucks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the honourable member said wrongly that we did not bring in any fire trucks, Madam Speaker. The reality of it is, Madam Speaker, the present complement of fire trucks was brought in under the FNM administration, and this government has not brought in one, Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the honourable
That
member.
is a plain untruth. There's reported, and one can go to the papers and see the Charge 8 Affairs was there. There were engines ordered in 2022, delivered in 2023. If St. Barnabas would say that everything he says is as honest as that statement, I would challenge him to do so, to say that everything he says previously and going forward is as true as the fact that this administration did not bring in 2 trucks in 2023.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, it is our understanding, Madam Speaker, that trucks were on order prior to the election. So whatever trucks came in was based on policies under the Free National Movement that came in. Where, Madam Speaker, where their delivery was impacted by COVID, Madam Speaker. But as usual, Madam Speaker, they don't tell you all of that. They won't tell you a piece of the information. We ordered it, Madam Speaker.
The chair recognizes the Honourable Member for
I would challenge the member for St. Barnabas to stake his reputation on that representation.
Thank you, Honourable Member.
I would encourage the member and challenge the member to state his reputation on Canadian banknote and their involvement, Madam Speaker, with the parliamentary registration. So alas, I will say you go first, and I'll have a seat.
Lots of stakes.
I thought so, Madam Speaker. I thought so, Madam Speaker. Go ahead.
Said that no company, foreign or local, is managing an election in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. This sort of deflection is what happens when you get caught with your pants down. He should stake his reputation that the engines delivered in 2023 were not ordered in 2022. That is what he is suggesting. Plain and simple.
Yes. Thank you, Honourable Member.
Madam Speaker, I will concede, I will not attempt to jostle with words with someone who's a KC, Madam Speaker. I won't do it, but all I know, Madam Speaker, he's still not answered, Madam Speaker, if Canadian banknote is down at the Parliamentary Registrar, a foreign company, getting involved with aspects, Madam Speaker, of the registration system at the Parliamentary Registration Department, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
Surrendered control.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, also one last thing as I get into the bill in hand. Yes, Madam Speaker, it's important. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. All right. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Just for clarity, the government, through the member for Freetown, the Minister for National Security, has consistently contended, well, I would say, draw contrast, if you will, to the recruiting policy or recruiting exercises under the present administration and the prior administration, Madam Speaker. But just for the record, Madam Speaker, under the Free National Movement, across the Royal Bahamas Police Force, the Royal Bahamas Defense Force, and BDOCS, we had 805 recruits, Madam Speaker. Now, Madam Speaker, because we are committed to full disclosure, they have recruited across those same uniformed services branches 1,320. But there's a caveat there, Madam Speaker, which is the 230 Royal Bahamas Police Force recruits that's in their numbers is actually, these persons were already selected when we were in government, okay? They were already selected, but they didn't train because of issues with COVID, and they didn't want them in close quarters, Madam Speaker. So again, Madam Speaker, if they can tell the story, tell the whole story, Madam Speaker. Tell the...
I challenge St. Barnabas to stake his reputation on that representation there. I'm not going to back and forth with him. I just challenge him to stake his reputation on that.
You're absolutely wrong.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, as I turn to the bill, Madam Speaker, right? As I turn to the bill, Madam Speaker, as I turn to the bill, there is deep concern, Madam Speaker, as the honourable member for Marcos City would have expressed, about, from the Bahamian people on the many different deals, Madam Speaker, whether it's BPL, Madam Speaker, or the borings deal, Madam Speaker. And I must say, Madam Speaker, and they have been consistent with this, Madam Speaker. It's always where they're not showing you their full hand, Madam Speaker. As the member for Marco City talked about, BPL has essentially gone to a chop shop. And everybody knows what a chop shop is. Yeah. Right? They cut it up in pieces, Madam Speaker, cut it up in pieces. But unlike Madam Speaker, the port deal that the good member for Carmichael said was the worst deal ever, Bahamians were able to at least, Bahamians were at least able to invest, Madam Speaker, in a significant way in that deal across the way. And I salute the member for Angleton.
Yes.
I salute the member for Angleton.
Yes.
I salute the member for Angleton.
Yes, we do.
Because one thing about her, Madam Speaker, on these issues, Madam Speaker, she makes her voice heard, Madam Speaker. You know, Madam Speaker, my daughters love the member for Angleton.
That's my wife.
My wife too? Your wife too?
Yeah.
Boy, I tell you, boy, you got a lot of love, Angleton.
Yes.
Seriously, my wife, my daughters, so my daughters say to me, she say, Daddy, how come Mrs. Glennis Hannah Martin is the only one who will speak out on certain things on the government side? I say because she's a soldier and she's from Auckland. I say she's a soldier and she's from Auckland. But Madam Speaker, as much as the member for Carmichael talks about the port being a bad deal, we have already seen two variations at least of two very bad deals under this administration.
Very bad.
BPL and the moorings deal, Madam Speaker. Because we ain't talking about 4 acres or 40 acres or 400 acres.
Oh my God.
We're talking about 4,000 acres
Shame.
of Bahamian seabed, Madam
Matrimony.
Speaker. 4,000 acres, Madam
Shame.
Speaker. And again, I wish the member for Exuma was here. Because we just talked about the conflict in terms of what the member for Baintown and the member for Freetown said.
Yeah.
The member for Exuma, he pulled a shaggy. He said it wasn't me.
No, it wasn't me.
Now this is a person, this is a member who sits in the cabinet, Madam
Yes,
Speaker, and was there to approve it.
Yes.
But when the water got hot, when the waters of Exuma got hot,
Yes.
he said it wasn't me. Y'all check the PM.
Check him.
Yeah, check OPM. Check
He
OPM.
did a 4 Charlotte on him.
Yeah, he said check.
Finance.
He said check OPM, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. That's why we're in surprise. That's why we're in surprise when we hear he in a lot of hot water. Because he gonna point to OPM on the moorings deal,
And
saying.
he didn't see what happened to Fort Charlotte.
And then he say he was surprised.
He didn't see what happened to
And then
Fort
he
Charlotte.
say he was surprised, Madam Speaker. But anyway, Madam Speaker.
Oh, Lord. They bought him
So,
in
Madam
Ken
Speaker,
Island, Fort Charlotte gets.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker.
What about immigration?
Madam
They can't
Speaker,
harm no one.
on this bill, Madam Speaker, and the Prime Minister said two very important things in his contribution, Prime Minister. The Prime Minister said, at the outset, he talked about the greatness of this country. We all agree, Prime Minister. And then the Prime Minister also talked about having these people take their foot off our necks, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the truth is, as the member for Marco City talked about, Madam Speaker, we are in this together.
Yes.
So we do have to be very careful, yes, how we point fingers, but we do have to hold each other accountable. Madam Speaker. The point that I'm making, Madam Speaker, is that this issue, we need to find some serious agreement, Madam Speaker, on how we deal with this issue, because we know these people don't want it, and I have to use that phrase, they don't want us in the business. They continue to move the goalposts, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker. But, Madam Speaker, I have to point to the fact that we would have passed a suite of legislation, Madam Speaker, when we were in office.
Yes.
Right, Madam Speaker? The Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill, the automatic exchange of financial account information amendment regulations, and the International Tax Cooperation Bill, Madam Speaker. We did those, Madam Speaker, to buttress and make sure that our financial services apparatus and system in the country were meeting the standards set out by the OECD and others, Madam Speaker. Though, Madam Speaker, as we continue to be agile and try to meet these standards, Madam Speaker, we have to continue to say to these bodies that it's just not right and it's not fair, Madam Speaker, because there are, in Wyoming, Madam Speaker, and Delaware in the United States, Madam Speaker, they have similar financial services apparatus as we do, but you don't see them blacklisted, Madam Speaker. So we agree, we can all agree as Bahamians that we have to let them know, all right? We have to let them know, Madam Speaker, that there's a certain way that we expect to be treated in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, as I prepare to take my seat, Madam Speaker, I just want to read a couple excerpts, Madam Speaker. In this article here, an archipelago of contrast, blacklist Caribbean autonomy, and the new tax, Madam Speaker, colonialism, Madam Speaker. Blacklists, Madam Speaker, generally, and European blacklists in particular, are effectively discouraging the only successful development strategy in the Caribbean. We label this effort to forcibly impose European policies the new tax colonialism. Many of the same European powers who once colonized the Caribbean and forced its societies into sugar plantation economies now seek to fiscally recolonize it, crippling the most effective way to achieve economic prosperity in the region. Large economies find blacklists an attractive tool with which to coerce smaller ones to adopt the policies the big countries prefer. Not only does the Council of the EU have its list of non-cooperative jurisdictions, but there are also national lists maintained by multiple European states, Madam Speaker. By attempting to force small jurisdictions into one-size-fits-all regulatory and tax regimes, the EU and European states are repeating the mistakes of the colonial era. The application of blacklists to the Caribbean, particularly those of the EU and European nations, is discouraging the most successful economic development strategies these smaller jurisdictions have created. They are a barrier to improving the lives of Caribbean peoples. While most Caribbean IFCs have not managed to equal the degree of success that the Bahamas, Bermuda, British Virgin Islands, and Caymans have achieved, a large number have developed niche markets that contribute to their economies, and their potential has not been fully developed. The alternative is economic dependence on former colonial sovereigns based on subsidies, tourism, social engineering, reinforcing the globally unequal status of these jurisdictions. The countless requirements and standards created by the blacklist also force these islands to incur exorbitant costs for regulatory infrastructure. Blacklists deepen the economic dependency of small jurisdictions on the large ones and present the danger of refastening the chains of the region's colonial history to its peoples. It ends. In the end, this is ultimately a question of money. What can EU states do to protect their tax revenue? They could, of course, get their own houses in order and simplify their tax codes, reduce rates, and rationalize rate structures. Designing an efficient tax regime is not difficult. Finding the political will to do so is. And since that seems much harder than imposing the new tax colonialism, Europe is embarking once again on an attempt to impose its will on Caribbean peoples and islands. Let's hope the results this time are less costly for the region than was the first round of European colonialism in the Caribbean. Madam Speaker, so as I take my seat, I agree with the Prime Minister. Tell them to take their foot off our necks. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Member. The Chair recognizes the Honourable Member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker, I've been asked by the member for Cat Island, St. Salvador, to wrap just very quickly. I never recall being 45 minutes at anything. But Madam Speaker,
Say he was 45 minutes.
usually that was the allegation, but it was as truthful as any other allegation I've heard today. Madam Speaker, it is very telling the last quotation read by St. Barnabas, because it harkens back to early colonialism and slavery. And in my early teaching or learning, I was taught that Africans sold Africans into slavery. And a part of what the Honorable Member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador urged all today is unity, so that where we face modern-day colonialism, we aren't aiding and abetting the colonialists. St. Anne's then very eloquently demonstrated it by saying we're off the European blacklist, but we're still on France's blacklist, which is a European country. That should demonstrate in and of itself the arbitrariness that caused the Prime Minister to send the Attorney General to the United Nations to seek justice in a rules-based environment. Madam Speaker, in my humble opinion, and I guess other people have been talking today about what they think, I think, Madam Speaker, if one extracts all the relevant parts of the contributions today, we would not have come back after 1 p.m., but that's just what I think. And people are taking liberties. I think, Madam Speaker, it is fair to say that for the Bahamian people's consumption, we do not intend to entertain being led down lines that are not set for debate. And I would say it as simply as that. It is just very clear, Madam Speaker, that when we have assertions that the economy isn't doing well, I would use the Honorable Prime Minister's own formulation. That is what they think, while the foreign white people tell us that our recovery has been remarkable. And they have no interest, they have no horse in this race. They're not leaders or members of an opposition party trying to claw their way back into government. They are independent. They characterize, Madam Speaker, the job that the Minister of Finance, the Ministry of Finance, this administration, and more importantly, the Bahamian people have done in recovering our economy. And while they talk about people being hopeless and all of that, we have the lowest unemployment rate for how many years? For many, many years. And that is a function, Madam Speaker, of the hard work of this administration. And again, more importantly, the Bahamian people. Because I always hear Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador, the member for that great constituency, saying and owning all of our progress being because of the hard work of the Bahamian people. And so he isn't a competent authority, God-like creature. He works for the people. And so we've heard that, and we hear many machinations from them. But we will not engage backward and forward, because there was an old saying about if you row with a certain type of person, people will have it be very difficult to tell the difference. But Madam Speaker, the independent material is there. This is about this act that everyone agrees with, strangely, but we've had a lot of talking around it. Madam Speaker, it is just very clear. When it comes that time, the Bahamian people will be able to judge the quality of their work under this administration and the quality of the work they were permitted, or in other cases not permitted, to do under the other administration. And they will have to consider whether or not they want to stop the progress or they want it to continue. And I think, Madam Speaker, the member for Fox Hill says keep your eyes fixed on a certain year. And I would have thought that that would have made it clear to the members on the other side where they should keep their eyes fixed so this idle speculation need not continue. Madam Speaker, with those very few responses to what was said or what fell from the members opposite, I would move, Madam Speaker, that the question now be put on the second reading and committal of this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Thank you, Honorable Member. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a second time and committed. A bill for an act to amend the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Act. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. Order that the bill be read a second time and committed.
A bill for an act to amend the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information.
Thank you. Further second readings?
No further second readings, Madam Speaker. I now move that the House do dissolve into the Committee of the Whole with the Deputy Speaker in the chair.
Thank you, honorable members. It has been moved and seconded that the House do now resolve itself in the Committee of the Whole with the Deputy Speaker in the chair. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The House will now resolve itself into the Committee of the Whole with the Deputy Speaker in the chair.
Mr. Chairman, the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill 2025, I move that the long title of the bill be agreed.
It has been moved and seconded that the long title of the bill be agreed. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The long title of the bill is agreed.
I now move, Mr. Chairman, that Clause 1, the short title of the bill, be agreed.
It has been moved and seconded that the short title of the bill be agreed. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The short title of the bill is agreed.
I move, Mr. Chairman, that clauses 2 to 5 of the bill be agreed.
Andrews? It has been moved and seconded that clauses 2 through 5 of the bill be agreed. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. Clauses 2 through 5 of the bill is agreed.
I now move, Mr. Chairman, that the bill in its entirety be agreed.
It has been moved and seconded that the bill in its entirety be agreed. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The bill in its entirety is agreed.
I now move, Mr. Chairman, that the House do resume with the Speaker in the chair.
It has been moved and seconded that the Speaker do now take the chair. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. The Speaker will now take the chair. Ms. Forbes, you want some minutes?
Honorable members, the Deputy Speaker and Chairman of the Committee of the Whole has reported that the committee has examined the bills, having made no amendments thereto. Third reading.
Madam Speaker, I would move for the third reading and passing of the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill 2025.
Thank you, honorable members. It has been moved and seconded that the following bill be read a third time and passed. A bill for an act to amend the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Act. As many are in favor, will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. Ordered that the bill be read a third time and passed.
A bill for an act to amend the Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Act.
For the third readings? Oh, I know I'm standing up. Order that this bill do not pass and the title thereof declared to be Automatic Exchange of Financial Account Information Amendment Bill 2025. Further third readings?
No further third readings.
Thank you, honorable member. Ordered that the clerk to take the bill passed by the House today to the Honorable Senate for their concurrence. We will now revert back to the order of business. Consideration of Senate amendments, resolutions, member statements. The chair recognizes the honorable member for St. Barnabas.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I wish to let the residents of Coconut Grove know that the ongoing paving of the roads in Coconut Grove, Madam Speaker, 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 I have studied, Madam Speaker, please, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I've stood here on numerous occasions, particularly where it relates to issues of infrastructure and the roads and dealing with the potholes, and I've said to the member for Central and South Eleuthera, very grateful for the efforts of the Ministry of Works, because it ain't about me, it's about the people. It's about the people. So I am grateful, and I wish he was here. I am grateful to the Ministry of Works for the paving in Coconut Grove, Madam Speaker. I have no issues. Sorry? Well, the senator ain't in this house, right? The member of Parliament is here, Madam Speaker. So just want to thank the honourable member for his diligence with that. Thank you very much.
Thank the government all day and then
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Yamacraw.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to wish the family of Ms. Effie Camp sincere condolences. She was the oldest, as far as I'm aware. She is the oldest member of our Yamacraw constituency. She was 101 years old. And I want to wish her family sincere condolences. Ms. Effie Camp is also the aunt of Wendell Jones, who most would know is an ambassador and also a journalist. And amongst other condolences that I would have to wish, which I'll save for my next opportunity on my feet, I also reach out to those families who are now bereaved in our constituency. I want to invite the members of Yamacraw constituency persons seeking a job that the Department of Labor is in partnership with us to have a job fair at the Church of the Epiphany at the hall on Saturday, this Saturday at 10. Persons who are interested, we'll have about there are 30 different companies there who are seeking workers, and we're asking for persons to come prepared to be interviewed, bring their resumes and necessary documents, and put on their business attire in order to interview for job opportunities. Also, we would be having a meet and greet in Yamacraw, just a coffee. Most persons who would leave extremely early in the morning would leave sometime just at the crack of dawn or sometime in darkness to come get out of the traffic. But we're having a partnership with Wendy's in the Seagrape Plaza for a meet and greet and free coffee on myself, just to chat and talk about constituency matters. That is this Friday morning, 7 to 9. That's Friday morning, 7 to 9 at Seagrape Shopping Plaza. And the job fair Saturday at 10 until 1. Yes. The market was just, the farmers market at St. Barnabas, as requested. The farmers market is ongoing every other Saturday, and we had one this Saturday. It was very exciting. We had a few contests there with watermelon eating and pineapple eating and that kind of thing, engaging residents in some fun and games, along with just supporting Bahamian local businesses. And the next market will be April 5th. For the persons who are interested in coming out to the Yamacraw Farmers Market, the best market in the East that competes only with the Gladstone Market in the West. Thank you, St. Barnabas, for continue supporting, and if you can bring some more persons with cash, the vendors would appreciate it. Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't bring them fraud.
The chair recognize the honorable member for Nassau Village.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. I just wish to inform residents that we have started our bulk waste collection that's being done through the Capital Works Fund in addition with the Clear Hole Build initiative. Now, Madam Speaker, what we're doing is seeking to supplement the initiative of Clear Hole Build by providing them with 40-foot containers as well. They've also been installed in St. Michael's Drive, Jonathan Square, that's on the most eastern side, Gleniston Gardens, and Alexandria Boulevard, St. Catherine Street. Madam Speaker, what we noticed was that in addition to the overgrown lots, there was a lot of dumping throughout the entire constituency. So I implore all residents to utilize the 40-foot containers. They're there. We're going to run it completely for the next 2 weeks. We're going to start off at various points, and then we're going to revisit any points that would have been communicated to the constituency office that needs further attention. Madam Speaker, I also wish to announce for the first time Nassau Village's Laugh Out Loud comedy show that is going to be held on the 1st of April. I hope so. But I invite the member for St. Anne's to come and take a view of the center and also to see a worthwhile production. And we do have 3 young Bahamians who will be entertaining all of the constituents and residents. And stilettos. And also, Madam Speaker, I wish to commend the Urban Renewal Nassau Village for their diligent efforts. They would have removed approximately 50 derelict vehicles so far, approximately 25 lots, and they're still ongoing. So we can, I've stated before, and I will underscore with the member for Golden Isles has also stated that we have a derelict vehicle problem on the island, and I'm just excited and I'm happy to see that we're taking and tackling this initiative head on, just so that we provide cleaner, more pristine, and more beautified constituencies and communities on the island. So thank you so much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Freetown.
Speaker, if I may, first wish my firstborn son happy birthday, the 21st of this month, Acting Sub-Lieutenant Wayne Monroe, who happened to be on patrol on his birthday in the Exumas. That's the job he signed up for. I don't feel sorry for him. He could have been a lawyer. But that's his desire, and he is living the part. Madam Speaker, also condolences, especially to the family of Livingston Forbes McPhee, who was buried from Pilgrim Baptist Temple on Saturday. I was unable to attend his funeral as I had to support my wife at the funeral of her uncle, Reuben Fox, who was buried from the Roman Catholic Cathedral at the same time. Also, condolences to the family of Delarice Flowers, who I was able to attend her funeral at New Destiny Baptist Church. Madam Speaker, I also had the pleasure of watching a part of the police basketball competition at the AF Adley Gym. I wasn't able to stay for the finals, but I was able to stay and watch the senior executive leadership team play each other, white on blue. And the commissioner's half of the Celt won the half-court basketball game. And Madam Speaker, Mr. Prime Minister, you ought to have seen them going at it. I mentioned to the commissioner on our way out, I would wait to see who made it into work on Monday. There is the softball competition this weekend at the Blue Hills Playing Complex, and they do invite members of the public to come out and support. There's the mini tattoo on Friday in Angliston at 5 p.m. And again, Madam Speaker, our Royal Bahamas Police Force is inviting us all to participate as they celebrate Police Month, which is the month of March. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Appointment of select committees. Instruction to select committee. Discharge of select committees. Notices for future meetings.
In the name of the government, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. St. Anne's.
Renew all notices in the name of the opposition, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Adjournment.
Speaker, I move that on its rising, the House to adjourn to Wednesday, the 2nd of April. Fortunately, it's not the 1st of April. Although many days in here, many days in here, one would think it was. The 2nd of April, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Honorable Member. Is there a seconder? Thank you, Honorable Members. It has been moved and seconded that the House at its rising do adjourn to Wednesday, 2nd of April, 2025 at 10 a.m. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. The motion is carried. Final adjournment?
Madam Speaker, I now move that the House to adjourn to Wednesday, the 2nd of April, 2025 at 10 a.m.
Thank you, Honorable Members. It has been moved and seconded that the House do now adjourn to Wednesday, 2nd of April, 2025 at 10 a.m.